Why is Xianxia a dominant genre of entertainment production in China? Wuxia and Xianxia, the two unique Chinese cultural productions, are actually different. Although it's very difficult to distinguish them because you always see the characters afloat in the air.
What?
The originality of wuxia can be traced back to Chinese classic literature in Yuan dynasty when novels went popular. But contemporary wuxia novels were ground-founded by several legendary authors from Hong Kong, and Jin Yong must be the most influential one, and one of my favorite writers. His major work, a series of 14 books, has laid the foundation for a richly imagined wuxia universe that spanned to 2 to 3 generations in China. Many of the genre's rules and conventions originate from his works and are still widely accepted, often without question. For example, the archetypal hero must rise from humble beginnings, undergoing trials and transformation to become a figure of exceptional martial skills and spiritual integrity. Only then can they truly embody the title of Xia. Xia refers to a person who embodies righteousness, martial prowess, and moral integrity. The term Xia has no direct equivalent in English translation. While it is often translated into hero or likened to knighthood, but these comparisons for short. A Xia is not merely brave or skills in combat. They are defined by a deep commitment to justice, honor, and selflessness, often acting outside of the bound of the law to protect the vulnerable and uphold moral ideals. In wuxia literature, the martial world is known as Jianghu, literally translated as rivers and lakes. But don't let a poetic name fool you. This isn't a serene landscape of poetry and vision. Jianghu is a chaotic, honor-bound, sword-swinging society where the only thing more dangerous than duel is a drama. Though some stories are set against the backdrop of a specific Chinese dynasties, Jianghu exists as a parallel realm distinct from any historic period. It is a self-contained universe governed by its rules, values, and social structures. Killing is permitted. Jianghu is a fiercely competitive world ruled by the law of jungle. Conflicts are often resolved through combat, and justice is upheld not only by legal systems, but by individuals known as Xia. Institutions as social pillars. In Jianghu, formal government are usually weak or irrelevant. Instead, institutions form the backbone of the society. These organizations provide martial training and shape the identity of every Xia. A prominent example is the Shaolin Temple, which, while a Buddhist institution, in reality is portrayed in wuxia as a legendary martial arts school, often considered the origin of Chinese martial arts. Moral dualism, righteous versus evil. Institutions are usually categorized into two opposing camps, the righteous and the evil. This binary framework simplifies moral alignment, though the stories often explore more nuanced ethical dilemmas. Despite occasional inconsistencies and fantastic elements, wuxia continues to captivate the audiences. It might not make sense like how everyone can survive after falling off a cliff, or what on earth do they make for a living, but it does create a utopia where efforts lead to fame and honor, righteousness bring justice, and purity rewarded with romances. For Chinese readers, virtues such as loyalty, mercy, faithfulness, and righteousness resonate deeply, reflecting our core cultural values. These values are handed over to Xianxia literature. Xianxia world is even a higher level in terms of the character's power of destruction. Xian means immortal or deity, different from gods who are born to be. On the other hand, Xian is a DIY deity, a mortal who climbs up the spiritual ladder through intense cultivation. The cultivation is originated from Taoist and Buddhist-inspired martial arts, mediation, and occasionally surviving lightning strikes. It's like a spiritual CrossFit, but with more glowing and less sweating. The journey to immortality is no walk in the bamboo forest. Cultivators go through multiple stages, each one unlocking new powers and existential headaches. But here's a catch: being greedy, skip a step, or even literal emotions run wild, you go demonic. Demons are the opposite to Xian, but they are often more powerful than the immortals. It's like failing your spiritual exam and getting a dark upgrade. Now, before you start meditating under a waterfall trying to fly on a sword, don't. Xianxia literature have a beautifully detailed system of becoming immortal, but basically left it to the fictional world. Though Xianxia came to its enlightenment a little bit later than Wuxia, it owes more to ancient Chinese mythology, such as classic of monks and seas and the investiture of gods. But its substantial development attributed to a video game in the late 1990s, The Legend of Sword and Fairy. This is the first Chinese RPG game, a young guy on an epic quest, tangled in a love triangle with two magic girls adding ancient monsters, towers, spells, and a sprinkle of heartbreak. And this formed an early recipe for a genre-defining classic. The game won a huge commercial success, dominating the favorite single-player PC game list for 10 years, and later developed into 7 series and adapted into multiple productions and literatures. The game didn't just entertain. It revived ancient Chinese mythology, unlike wuxia, which tries to keep one foot in reality. Xianxia said, "Forget gravity, let's fly on swords and punch through dimensions." It's imaginative, it's magic, and sometimes it's completely bonkers. But that's the charm of Xianxia. In 2003, Jade Dynasty, a novel telling a story of how a normal young man grows into a legendary master in a fantasy world. This novel has kickstarted the era of Xianxia literature as well as a vibrancy of the online fictions. Jade Dynasty didn't stay on the page for long, it evolved. TV series, manga, films, video games, you name it. It built a global fandom. And Xianxia no longer was just a niche genre, it was a movement. And here's the kicker. Fans of wuxia, the genre pioneered by the legendary Jin Yong, saw Jade Dynasty as a kind of spiritual successor, not a copy, but a transcendent essence, a next-gen evolution of the martial arts storytelling tradition. This was a milestone when Xianxia developed from a subgenre of wuxia into another iconic Chinese culture. Dazzling special effects is another bonus to the Xianxia productions with an ever-blurring line between dramas and cyber games. Obsessed with a splendid scene, producers never stop adding up using special effects in Xianxia productions and even wuxia. With the advancement of CG and AI techniques, it would be no surprise to see more and more fancy scenes where people fly around. As mentioned, I myself is a fan of wuxia as well as a gamer of the Xianjian, the Legend of Sword and Fairy. And I love to see the vibrancy of this genre of culture and to promote it as a new Chinese cultural icon. But here's what worries me. These Xianxia dramas have become increasingly homogeneous, with formulaic characters, cold male leads, resilient female leads, and stereotypical villains. The convergence in costume, makeup, and props has also led to aesthetic fatigue among viewers. There are many reasons behind this, such as regulatory control over the type of content, the influence of fan culture on production teams, and the impact of the emerging short drama market. However, the deeper issue may lie in the homogenization of values, which has made artistic creation increasingly constrained. Discussions of philosophic topics tend to be tagged as biased, discriminative, or even worse. Unfortunately, this is not the case merely in China. If we have a look at how Marvels are dominating the film market worldwide in recent years.